Good evening, everybody. This is the Administration and Public Works Committee, and we're going to start our meeting. Alderman Simmons has indicated that she won't be able to attend this meeting or P&D. She is hoping to make it for the council meeting. Alderman Braithwaite, have we heard from him? I'm sure he's coming, but we're going to get started. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of February 10. I move approval.
Second.
Any corrections or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving right along. Alderman Fleming, will you take all the money items, the payroll and bills?
Yes.
Madam Chair, I move approval for A1, which is the City Council payroll and bills. It is dated period January 20th, 2020 through February 20th, 2020 in the amount of $3,092,449.16. And the bills list for February 25th, 2020 in the amount of $2,053,010.57
Second.
for action.
Second. Alderman Sufford and A2.
Sure. Item A2 is approval of funds to cover cost of repairs to vehicle number 313, a Pierce Arrow XT Tiller ladder fire truck for the fire department. Staff recommends City Council approve payment in the amount of $41,770.46 to Global Emergency Products for cooling system repairs previously performed on a Pierce Arrow XT Tiller ladder fire engine, and additional repairs made at the same time to expedite the return of the vehicle to service in an optimal and safe condition. The Arrow XT Tiller is used by the fire department and is critical to continue necessary operations throughout the city. Funding is from the Materials to Maintain Autos Fleet Fund with a budget of $1,055,250 and a year-to-date balance of $988,442.12. This is for action.
Second. Okay. Next item is A3. We're being asked to recommend to the council that the city manager execute an agreement with Christopher Burke Engineering Limited to provide engineering services for the Oakton Street Corridor Improvement Study in the amount of $139,932.81. I move approval. I
Second.
just want to comment on this. This isn't a roadway improvement necessarily. This is to take a look at all the problems we have on this street, which are plentiful, and see what we can do to organize the traffic and figure out lighting. And I don't know if Laura Biggs wants to talk about this. When I started reading this, I thought, oh no, not another pavement job, but it's just a fabulous job. Give us the full scope. I'm very excited.
Yes, Alderman, my name's Laura Biggs. I'm the city engineer. So this project is really a corridor planning study where we look at the corridor on Oakton from the west city limits to Asbury and really look at a lot of the traffic issues we have. I think that as we have, over the years, had problems, staff has looked at spot locations and how to try to make specific improvements. But this is looking at it as a much bigger picture, trying to do a coordinated effort to move traffic smoothly but slowly in a way that makes it safer for pedestrians, particularly since we're in an area that touches so many schools.
That the intersection, my recollection is many years ago, I think even before you came, which is a long time. Oakton and Asbury was about, and maybe Rajiv remembers, it's the highest accident rate in the city, I think. And we made some changes, and it was a dramatic change.
Yeah, with the installation of turning lanes, I think it really smoothed out the intersection, but there's still quite a number of issues along the corridor. So this study will look at sort of everything, whether It's just like our regular traffic calming measures, some of which we've already tried putting pedestrian bump outs in certain areas, but also looking at street lighting, traffic signals, making sure that we have all the things in place to make this corridor appropriate for the number of pedestrians that we get.
Thank you very much. This is a great idea, I think. All right. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I just wanted to catch Laura before she sat down. I also, obviously, as you know, am very excited. My first day in office, Laura and I met on Oakton and walked up and down and talked about all the problems. So I just want to communicate, or can you let citizens know who might be watching about citizen input and when that will take place, if that will take place during this project?
We have not scheduled any specific meetings yet. I would expect those meetings to start occurring around April or May. There will be an opportunity. We will have public engagement, definitely.
Okay, great. So I know lots of citizens who live on Oakton who are very interested in giving you their input, so thank you.
And the schools also will want to participate. Yeah, and the businesses too, probably. I mean, this is really excellent. And we couldn't do that until we knew we were going to approve it, I'm sure, so we'll do that. All right, thank you very much. All right, Alderman Suffredin. Oh, wait, no. Alderman Fleming, you're next.
Yes, A4 is the contract renewal award with Herrera Landscape and Snow Removal for the 2020 Streetscape and Landscape Garden Maintenance Services. Staff recommends we authorize city manager to execute this contract renewal award to the low bidder, which is Herrera Landscape and Snow Removal, a local Evanston company, for 2020 streetscape and water garden maintenance services in the amount of $57,920. Funding will come from 3 different accounts: the general fund, Greenways budget, then the rain garden maintenance will be funded from the sewer fund. And lastly, $3,000 from the plant replacement will come from different line items in the sewer fund. This is for action.
Second. Alderman Suffredin.
All right.
A6.
Item A6, contract renewal award with Clean Slate Chicago LLC for park mowing services. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract renewal award to the low bidder, Clean Slate Chicago LLC, for 2020 park mowing services in the amount of $25,417.78. Funding of this project is included in the proposed fiscal year 2020 general fund budget, which has a total allocation of $142,000 and no expenditures yet in fiscal year 2020. Did we skip A5?
I was going to say we skipped A5.
If I may, be so bold
Please,
as
please.
to move approval of item A5, a sole source award of an engineering services agreement with Smith Group for City of Evanston shoreline condition assessment. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute a sole source agreement to provide engineering services for the City of Evanston shoreline condition assessment with Smith Group in the amount of $74,500. Funding will be from the Capital Improvement Fund 2020 General Obligation Bonds Facilities Contingency Account. This line item has an approved fiscal year 2020 budget of $300,000 with $282,042 remaining. This is for action.
Second. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none. All right, so we're now on A7. Contract renewal award with Herrera Landscape and Snow Removal for the 2020 tree planting services. This is a renewal award in the amount of $47,400 from the general fund budget. Has a total allocation of $135,000 with a balance of that amount. I move approval.
Second.
Okay. Alderman Fleming?
A8, the one-year contract extension with Forward Space for the office furniture supply contract. It was a RFP 16-65. Staff recommends council authorize city manager to execute a one-year extension for the office furniture supply contract, not to exceed the amount of $70,000 with Forward Space. This one-year extension will extend the contract completion date from December 31st, 2019 till December 31st, 2020. Funding will be provided by individual apartments through various annual budgets for action.
Second. A9.
I move item A9, which is change order number 1 to the contract with Alfred Benish and Company for engineering services for downtown transmission main rehabilitation project. Staff recommends City Council authorize the city manager to execute change order number 1 to the engineering contract for the 30-inch diameter downtown transmission main rehabilitation project with Alfred Benish and Company in the amount of $99,954. This will increase the overall contract amount from $305,890.54 to $405,844.54. Funding of the change order will be provided by the Water Fund, which has a fiscal year 2020 budget of $100,000, all of which is remaining. Staff is proposing to apply for a loan from IEPA for the water main rehabilitation. If the loan is received, most of the engineering costs would be considered eligible for reimbursement under the loan. This is for action.
Second. Mr. Stomback, would you like to explain the size of this change order?
Yes. So this is a change order. We're looking to rehabilitate or replace the 30-inch water main that goes from the water plant towards the downtown area. When we hired this company initially, they did a very good study under the Phase 1 study, and the study came back that we should rehabilitate the majority of the water main using a lining process. And they started the design on all that and have that design completed basically. But then we got copies of the bids that we received for the Morton Grove Niles water main installation, which was a 30-inch pipe as well. And they must have gotten very favorable bids because they were way lower than what the engineer had estimated in their Phase 1 study. So taking that into consideration, staff believes that it would be to the city's benefit to bid both open cut construction and the lining construction. So this change order is to basically do more design for the open cut construction and allow us to get alternate bids for the majority of the pipeline going in, which we think will save us a lot of money when we award the construction project.
You mean in the long run?
In the long run.
Because in the short run,
In the short run, we're paying more, but the additional cost allows us to bid the work in two different methods, either open cut construction or rehabilitation. And we believe that we will get much better competitive bids in that manner.
okay? Thank you very much. All right, moving along. Thank you very much for that explanation. A10 is Alderman Flem, no, it's me.
Do we need a second
It's
for
me.
8-9?
Huh?
Do we need a second for 8-9?
I think I seconded.
Okay.
Resolution 15R20, authorizing the city manager to submit an application for the Cook County Animal Shelter Grant. We're asking the council to approve this grant application, which will afford at least two applicants $8 million to share, maybe there'll be more, for the purpose of capital improvements in developing additional animal shelter space. I move approval.
Second.
So anybody here can speak to this, give us any more details other than what we have right here? Give us an idea of our chances from 1 to 100%.
I think that we're submitting a very competitive application. Our
Well put.
animal shelter partner, the Evanston Animal Shelter Association, really operates a top-notch facility. And when we went to some of our, like the information meetings, when we've talked with the people at Cook County, some of the things that they are really looking for are shelters that are no-kill shelters that have a high rate of placing animals with forever homes, that have a method of dealing with a wide variety of situations, including if all of a sudden random wildlife strays show up that aren't cats and dogs. And our Evanston Animal Shelter Association partner has really been able to present that they have the operations in a very good place. And similarly, the city of Evanston executing capital projects also has a pretty solid history of being able to do that successfully. So I think together, we're able to put together a solid application.
And would we tear down the current facility? Or would we build over it and out and?
Our current proposal that we're submitting is that we would tear down the existing facility and replace it with a new facility. We actually looked at what if we were to just do an expansion. It's an oddly designed building to put an expansion on. Anything we did would look like an expansion. It wouldn't look like one coherent building, and it would make the interior space kind of awkward when we did it. And so we would end up we would spend a lot of time, effort, and money trying to save an existing building that isn't really architecturally significant or wonderful. So I think that it would be a better use of our time and effort to just replace it with a building that is modern and meets the requirements that we have.
Great. Well, I'll be rooting for you,
Thank you.
lobbying, yeah. Thank you very much. All right, was there a second to that?
Second.
There was, okay, perfect. All right, moving on, Alderman Fleming?
A11, Resolution 17-R-20, authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Fire Recovery USA for emergency billing services. Staff recommends council adopt this resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Fire Recovery USA for emergency billing services. Under the agreement, Fire Recovery USA will collect a 20% portion of all monies they work to collect on the city's behalf for emergency service claims. Projected emergency incident cost recovery forecast for 2020 through 2022 is $75,000 to $150,000 annually. This will result in a payment to Fire Recovery USA of $15,000 to $30,000 annually for action.
Second.
Can I ask
All
a
right,
question
Alderman
about?
Fleming.
Yeah, is someone here who can I mean, I know what this is for, but is someone here who can speak to this so that our citizens know what we're billing for, who will be billed?
And also, could you include in your explanation what's included in emergency billing? What are the
Absolutely.
outstanding invoices? And is it a collection agency?
It is not. Madam Chair, members of the committee, good evening. Fire Chief Brian Scott. So last fall, we changed the ordinance to allow for billing of certain emergency services, for example, structure fires, car accidents. And so normally we've billed just for EMS services or for certain cost recovery services for, like, say, hazardous materials incidences. This change in our ordinance allows us to get more recovery for some of the costs that we expend for our emergency services, but we're, again, going to only do it through the insurance company, so there's zero impact to the residents. So this company, Fire Recovery USA, is going to work with the insurance company. They will get that cost from them. They will take that 20%, and we will get the remaining 80%, and there'll be no impact to the citizen if they don't have insurance. So it's not a collection service. It's just like we have our standard cost recovery for EMS. This is a company aligned with that same group.
So there's no billing to a resident?
The billing should go to their insurance company. So the resident may see a bill, but it would be something, if they did, that they would just forward to their insurance company. If they don't have that ability to have their insurance company handle it, then that would be the end of it.
Any late ambulance fees being collected by these people?
This company, no.
No.
And if you recall, we've changed our ambulance billing structure now too, that also is at a standardized rate of $1,500 per transport. That also goes through the insurance companies as well.
No, I know, but this is new, so I'm just asking.
No, absolutely. That's a fair question.
I have another question. So just so I'm clear, so you mentioned structure fires. What other things? So if this is a car accident and we're towing the car off, or what else is included there?
There are certain criteria, and I apologize for not having the exact language in front of me, but it'd have to be a certain type of car accident. Usually it's going to be one involving fluids being spilled, extrication that would be necessary. Those types of car accidents would be included in this. There's a standard rate that insurance companies pay for structure fires that we can work to collect on that, as another example. If there was a specialized rescue, say that we had a window washer that was trapped in a high-rise and we used our special rescue teams to rescue that individual, we could then go to the insurance company to try to collect on those emergency services as well. So from my perspective as fire chief, I realize that, the fire department is an all-hazards department and our services cost quite a bit. And we realized in the fire service nationwide that we can reach out to insurance companies to kind of collect some of this and recoup some of these costs so that we can continue offering services to the community.
So that sounds good. I think my concern, and I remember us talking about this, but my concern would be, so, you talked about specialized rescue. So say we have a water rescue or something, and you all do a great job. I just hate for that person, particularly a citizen who's paying taxes, of which the fire department is paid through. Then they get a bill. They're at the traumatic experience, and they get a bill saying, you owe us for rescuing you. I mean, that's not what it will say, but,
Right.
I just want to make sure that this is executed in a way that's very tasteful. I'm thinking if I am in a car accident, you use Jaws of Life or X, you're getting me out the car, and again, maybe the person who hits me doesn't have insurance. I think there's just some ways in which, if we're not very careful, particularly with the company who's sending out the billing, that people can have some experiences. They already feel like they're paying for your services via their property taxes, and then they get another bill for something of which they probably will assume just is the job of the firefighters.
Right, you're absolutely correct. And we deal with some of those issues and sensitivities even with their EMS billing. And I think we'll treat this in a very similar way. And I definitely will keep a close monitor on this new company because it is a new company for us. And make sure they handle things in a very professional and thoughtful way when they do that.
And how do they get the information? I'm assuming you send them a list of people or incidents that qualify for the
It would
service.
come through the fire report, the NIFRS report. And then they would be the one would have to, again, work out with the insurance company that collection from them. And that's one of the reasons why it's a higher collection rate than, say, EMS billing, is because there's a lot more work involved with this type of billing when you're dealing with the insurance company.
Okay, I guess I'm really concerned about how it's executed, so I'm hoping that you're gonna, make sure that folks who have had some traumatic experiences, who don't have, that this goes to the insurance company and they're not then getting these bills that they have to deal with after whatever situation they're already dealing with.
No, I hear you loud and clear. And again, I want to reaffirm the fact that at the end of the day, the resident is not paying anything out of their pocket. It'll be something that we're working through their insurance company. And if that's something that cannot be done, then we would just waive the fee. It would be done.
So if you have a person who slips and falls off a rock, off some riprap, and you have to, let's say they drowned, let's just say that, and you rescue them, would you is there a bill involved when you rescue when you recover the body?
No,
No, so there wouldn't be any
no, not in that
invoice
case.
of any kind?
No.
No. So that wouldn't even be an issue there.
No, it's a small subset of services that we would provide. And even the amount that we're trying to collect isn't the exact full amount. It's what is allowable by a schedule set by the insurance industry.
Yeah.
But in the hypothetical that you presented, no, there'd be nothing we could do there.
But if Northwestern had, in their chem lab, a big old explosion, where, a bunch of people had to be taken to, the hospital and, blew up a bunch of furniture and, had a little fire and you had a bunch of trucks there and people in hazmat suits helping out. I mean, that would be an incident where you might send them an extra bill, I hope.
It is, and that actually was already reflected in the ordinance prior to this.
Right, yeah.
For hazardous materials mitigation and reimbursement through that. But yes, in that case.
But this would be where if they didn't pay up, we would be sending them through this company an invoice.
Yes.
Have we ever collected anything from them?
From who
From
specifically?
Northwestern?
Um,
Have we ever billed them?
The example that comes up many times is EMS calls that we go there so much for. But each time that individual patient is billed like any other person, and it goes through their insurance company. So we do get some reimbursement for those services that we provide.
No, but I'm talking
for
about
hazardous materials?
university issues. where they have-
I'd have to get back to you on that, Alderman.
Yeah, I'd be interested in knowing that. All right, so I think maybe a lot of our concerns are,
On the execution phase, and I will closely monitor how this is executed and make sure that it's done in a very professional and thoughtful way.
if they're even real cases, like the ones that we're concerned about. I mean, maybe they're not, so, yeah, I don't know. All right, okay, so, all right, so next, Alderman Sefferden, thank you very much,
Very well.
Chief. Thank you very much. Resolution 18R20. 812.
Resolution 18R20, authorizing city manager to commit matching funds for participation with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the Howard Street resurfacing and other capital improvements projects, and to sign amendments to the project scope. Staff recommends adoption of Resolution 18R20, authorizing the city manager to commit matching funds for participation with the Illinois Department of Transportation for the Howard Street resurfacing and other capital improvements projects, and to sign amendments to the project scope. Funding will be provided as follows: $898,000 in 2020 general obligation bond funds, $1,691,384 in 2021 general obligation bond funds, $1,518,487 from the water fund, and $535,275 from the sewer fund, $6,556,874 in federal service transportation program grant funds, and $250,000 from the city of Chicago transferred directly to the city of Evanston. This is for action.
Second. Any questions? Anybody? Alderman Fleming.
Yeah, just can some staff come and give us, I mean, these are a lot of numbers, so I'd like some information about the project and the scope.
Dave, you want to talk about this? No. You've been working on this for how many? A decade? I don't know. I know it seems like a decade.
A while. I'm Alderman, my name is Laura Biggs, I'm the city engineer. The project scope basically goes from from the Target Access Drive, Sacramento, and the city of Chicago, where we completed a project a few years ago on Howard Street, over to Callan, which is at the far east end by Chicago Avenue. So the project is a full streetscape project. Within that, it includes 2 sections of water main, which had not yet been completed on Howard Street. Thus, you see the water funding is for the water main. It also includes some sewer work, particularly with drainage structures that are deteriorated. So there you also see sewer funding associated with it. That part is not really part of the federal funds that we got. That's just additional work that's supported by our city funds. Then we applied for and received Surface Transportation Program funds, which require a city match. The original application was from Dodge to Custer. Thank you. Oh, excuse me. And that part we had to provide a 20% match on. We extended it a couple blocks in each direction to make connections to where other things were happening. That part we ended up paying for ourselves. And then the city of Chicago owns the 40% of the street south. They are similarly doing a project with us. We're actually running the project. They transferred funds directly to IDOT to pay their share of the match. However, in these projects, the city of Evanston pays the engineering costs and gets reimbursed portions of that from IDOT. And since the city of Chicago is participating, they're paying their share of the engineering costs directly to us, which is why there's city of Chicago money in there too.
This is our project. I mean, we had the project.
It is. We started the project. We organized it after we had gotten the grant, and just before we started, we reached out to the city of Chicago, and then they were interested, but it has caused a little bit of delay while they organize their own funding. In reality, they're actually also using Surface Transportation Program funds for most of it, but they also have to figure out their share of the match and everything. So it is sort of all come together, but it's a really large project with 2 municipalities and quite a long length of Howard involved.
But I'm really going to start pressing for when we can have a community meeting now, because we're approving this, I hope, tonight. And it's really important, because people ask me, I would say, somebody asks me at least once a week, whatever happened to that? It's like, whatever happened to the yellow line stop in Evanston? I mean, two things that I get asked about, because this is so important. The street is deteriorating by the minute, so.
And then the scope of the project really is kind of building face to building face. When we look at streetscape improvement, we're talking about sidewalks, streetlights, traffic signals, and then everything in between,
everything,
in
yeah.
addition to resurfacing. But all in an effort to make it much more pedestrian friendly.
What percentage would you say it is? I mean, I wrote down all the numbers. I didn't do, because I didn't pull out the sewer and the water. It's more than 50/50, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yes.
Yeah,
The original percentage on the work was, we only provided a 20% match.
right.
And the added areas are not that expensive. Oh, when is the project bidding? Yes, the project is, IDOT is bidding the project on behalf of the city of Evanston. They will open bids in March on that. And so at that point, we were planning on scheduling the public meeting once we had the final numbers for the project.
Will we be involved in any way in that bidding? Will we be present at all?
No.
No, we won't? No.
They do ask us, when they receive the bids finally, they ask us, are you okay with the low bid being this?
Yeah.
But that's basically
But they
it.
won't ask us, are you okay with the low bidder, who the low bidder is? I mean, do they
No.
care if we have issues with the low bidder, or?
No.
they-
And really, they manage the project.
Yeah.
So contractors that we may have had concerns with in the past, they get a different level of performance because they award a lot more projects and a lot larger projects, so contractors tend to be very kind to IDOT.
Well, okay, I mean, that's not really what I was looking for, but, all right, so, and when, that's when they're going to be awarded, or that's when they're going to bid it? In
It's
March?
going to be awarded in March.
Really? So
Yes.
they're already working, I mean,
Yes.
they've already
We
bid
have-
it out?
We have
probably.
submitted everything.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, do you know the date they advertised that?
It's March 8th, that is,
But that's when they open bids.
yes.
When do they put it out on the street?
It's pretty much, it's already on the street.
It's already out?
It's already on
yes.
the street now.
Yeah.
And then IDOT would take 4 to 6 weeks to finish up the insurance and their contract requirements. So I think by May, we should be able to have the public meeting to go out and talk about the construction.
But it's going to be awarded in March?
March.
So we'll know in March who's going to get the
Yes.
job? Okay.
Yes.
You'll let us know, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Yeah. I seconded it. Yeah. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, moving on. Next item is A13. A13 is we're being asked to adopt, council is being asked to adopt, we're being asked to recommend it. Resolution 19R20, the signing of an Illinois Department of Transportation resolution for improvement under the Illinois Highway Code for improvements to various Evanston streets. Funding will be provided by the Motor Fuel Tax Fund, which has a total FY 2020 budget of $3,232,400. $1,400,000 for this fund is allocated for street improvements. This is for action. I move approval.
Second.
This is a good thing. All right. And there's a list of the streets that are going to be paved and asphalt in our packet. All right, A14, Alderman Fleming.
A14, Resolution 20-R-20, authorizing city manager to submit an application for Surface Transportation Program funds from the North Shore Council of Mayors for Green Bay Road improvements from McCormick Boulevard to Isabella. The Staff has recommended we adopt this resolution authorizing city manager to submit this application. The Surface Transportation Program funds 70% of engineering and construction project costs, and the remaining 30% of the funding must be provided by the local municipality. For this project, the total remaining engineering and construction costs are estimated to be $4,986,700, of which the city of Evanston were responsible for $1,495,990, which will need to be budgeted in future years in capital improvement fund. This is for action.
Second. Any discussion? It's a big job. All right. A15, Alderman Suffolk?
Sure. Item A15 is Resolution 21R20, Lovelace Park, Illinois Bicycle Path Grant Application. Staff recommends approval of Resolution 21R20, authorizing the city manager to submit a grant application for state funding through the Illinois Bicycle Path Grant Program to the Illinois Department of Natural Resources for the Lovelace Park Bike Path Renovation Project. If awarded, the funding of this project will be as followed. $50,000 from the 2020 general obligation bonds, $150,000 from the 2020 Good Neighbor Fund, and $200,000 from the IDNR grant. This is for action.
Second.
All right. Any questions, anybody? Hearing none?
And then can we pull item A16, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I just would like it to be held till our September 14th meeting, which will be after the comprehensive parking study is done.
All right. And this has to do with parking zones on,
On Central Street between Hurd and Central Park.
all right, thank you. A17, this is ordinance 21020. We're being asked to, let's see what it is, this is special assessment. Adoption of ordinance 21020, allowing the construction of a local improvement known as Evanston Special Assessment, number 1525, the alley north of Central Street and east of Ridge Avenue through the special assessment process. Is there anybody here for the special assessment? No. Funding will be from the Capital Improvement Program, 2020 general obligation bonds in the amount of $250,000 and the special assessment funds in the amount of $293,720. I move approval for introduction.
Second.
Okay? Nobody's here for that, okay? Alderman Fleming, A18. No, oh, wait, that's for action, that's for council. All right, this completes our agenda
We're doing on A16?
on
You
A16.
didn't take a vote.
On A16.
A16 he pulled off.
Is that the one Alderman Sufferton pulled off? Okay.
Yes, please.
So
You need action on that.
we do. He's holding it to, are you tabling it?
I'm asking it to be held to a date certain,
Yeah.
which will be September 14th.
Should we vote on that? You think so? Okay, let's just take a vote on that for the heck of it. All right,
I encourage an aye vote.
all right, just do it.
I move that we hold item A16, ordinance 19020, till our September 14th, 2020 meeting.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, thank you very much.
So now you get approved consent agenda?
Yes, and we're going to move the entire consent agenda and recommend it to the council.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now we are adjourned.
Planning and development can start immediately.
Mr. Joseph, don't forget, you're going to speak.
How about immediately? 6:45.